Hello, and welcome to the Northwest Cavalryman Show, the podcast where your host, Rick Skolrud, discusses politics and news from Canada, the United States, and around the world, from a conservative perspective. Warning: professionally offended people and liberal crybabies may be triggered. Viewer discretion is advised. While we put the finishing touches on this podcast, you are invited to visit the show notes. There are links to all of Rick's social media, including his website where you can sign up to take the Canadian Firearms Safety Course, which is a prerequisite for obtaining your Canadian Firearms License, also known as a PAL. Rick teaches these courses in Maple Bay just east of Duncan on Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Now here's your host, Rick Skolrud.
Good evening, everybody. How are you doing tonight? Again, I'm having a bit of audio problems, so if anybody's out there, please let me know. How am I coming through? Is there any echo or anything else? My earbuds just stopped working, so there's that. Hello, Nelson. How are you tonight? From New Brunswick. So tonight we have a few things that I wanted to go over. Of course, it's been kind of a week, right? We have, hello, Harley. Lots of stuff happened. It's almost hard to narrow it down to really what's going on. But of course, the big news this week was the cabinet, Carney's cabinet. Hello, Grumpy Bear. So, Carney's cabinet, yeah. Well, first off, I'd like to say good riddance to Bill Blair. Glad I'm never going to have to see that face again. You, us, and them, how are you? Good, it sounds good. That's great. I was hoping that it sounded good. So, yeah, we have Carney's cabinet picks. Bill Blair is gone. Bill Blair was completely useless as a public safety minister, completely useless as a national defense minister, minister of national defense, and actually he was completely useless as the chief of police of Toronto, just in it for himself and nothing else. And I'm just so glad he is not there anymore. You know, and I could make some comments about what I think about more comments about what I think about him, but I think I'll just leave it at that because, I think it's just fair just to comment about his character and his past behavior, as opposed to anything else. And his past behavior was completely deplorable. When he helped the government bring in all of those gun bans in 2000, which are they're basically going to be coming to get my guns pretty soon. And he really didn't care that he was violating people's rights and stealing people's property and using tragedies. And this is what really gets me is he's using tragedies for political purposes. And that's what the Liberal government has been doing regarding this. So I'm glad that he's gone. I'm glad that, obviously Justin's gone, but I'm glad that Bill is not around in the cabinet anymore. So we won't have to look at his face and hear him talk and give his BS answers. Melanie Jolie has I think it's a demotion, but she doesn't seem to take it that way. She seems to, by all indications from what she said today and yesterday, well, actually, I guess it was just yesterday, that she asked for that position. I don't know, maybe. And then it sounded like she said yesterday that it was basically for all of Canada. But I thought, reading it in the National Post, actually it wasn't the National Post, it was the Globe and Mail. In reading the description that they had, I thought that it was just for innovation throughout Quebec. But I guess I could be wrong there. So correct me if I'm wrong. Is it just in Quebec? Is her portfolio just to do with Quebec, or is it countrywide? So I don't think we'll be hearing from her very much in question period or in Parliament. But hey, so be it. And of course, Chrystia Freeland, definitely a demotion there, although it's still fairly important, interprovincial trade. So I think, I'm going to call it a demotion because it is. And of course, there's no deputy prime minister. So, hey, if Carney fails, if he falls flat in his face, there's nobody there to pick up the reins. But hey, they've set a precedence, haven't they? They'll just prorogue Parliament and have a leadership convention, which is, I think, obviously, you guys know what I think. I think it's completely stupid. Hello, Brian Brooks from New Brunswick. Hello, JCP from Calgary. And Jonathan Pridey. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but hello, Jonathan. And DJ, how's everything going? Peter Grayson, how are you? Was never a fan of Blair. My father-in-law, inspector with Metro Toronto, wasn't a fan either. Glad maybe Marble Mouth is gone. Yeah. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say this, but what the hell. He always looks like he's sniffing a fart, I'm sorry for being crude, but he just does. He just does. And it just I could get past that if he wasn't such a political monster, in my opinion. So now we get going down the list. Gregor Robertson. Oh my God. How could anybody put Gregor Robertson in the cabinet? He was a disaster as the mayor of Vancouver. Oh God. I think it was the mayor before him was actually caught in the guy who was the paraplegic or who was the mayor of Vancouver, who was caught in a van doing crack with somebody. So it wasn't just the Ford brothers out in Ontario. No, we had a mayor in Vancouver who was caught doing crack with somebody. And I think it was the mayor just before. Was it just before Gregor Robertson? I can't remember this guy's name. But he had a handicap. So, but Gregor Robertson, yeah, he destroyed. Well, I shouldn't say destroy. He didn't destroy it on his own, but he did a lot of damage to Vancouver. All he cared about, it seemed at the time, listening to the news, was bike lanes. And I have nothing against bike lanes. I've used some of those bike lanes. Yeah, they're great, but here's the thing about bike lanes. In downtown Vancouver, in the downtown core, the streets aren't big enough for a lot of those streets. Just aren't big enough for bike lanes. There's a reason why most of them went to one-way traffic way back in the 70s or the 60s or whenever they went to one-way traffic, because the streets just weren't big enough. So he went and put in all of these bike lanes and just caused more and more congestion. And the problem with that is he obviously said he was trying to do it for pollution and green, blah, blah, blah. But when you do that, you create more and more pollution. I think so anyway. Hey, Jessica, how are you? Wilford, how's it going tonight? I think I already said hello to Grumpy Bear. And Chris Newton, how are you? So, it's Gregor Robertson. Let's play a couple of clips. Yeah, let's get right into it. Play a couple of clips. First, let's see if my if these will work.
Very irresponsible. We have a housing crisis and a health crisis with overdoses. We need constructive solutions to those. We need to listen to doctors and health experts on overdoses, and we need to build a lot more across Canada and be working with cities, which is...
Yeah, so Gregor Robertson. I think Gregor Robertson is a complete doughhead, but listen to what he's saying there. We have a housing crisis and we have a drug crisis, a health crisis, he says. But he caused a lot of that stuff. He was really all for decriminalization of all of these drugs. So now he's saying that we have a health crisis. So he causes this problem, and now he's put into a position where he's supposed to solve some of these problems. Now, he's not in a position to solve the health crisis, but how about the housing crisis? Well, he caused a lot of that as well. Now, remember, I think most of y'all are aware that I've been reading Willful Blindness, and it says a lot about the Vancouver model of corruption. And Gregory Robertson was the mayor of Vancouver through a lot of that. And he's such a left-wing wingnut that I absolutely believe that he is involved at a very high level, just like Justin Trudeau, just like Mark Carney. I think that he is, and this is just an opinion of mine, I have no proof, so this is an opinion. I believe that he would be probably in bed with the Chinese as well. And again, just an opinion. I'm not making any solid allegations, but I think it's fair to say that him being in a fairly high position in municipal government at the time when a lot of this stuff was going on, that and being such a left-wing wingnut, that it makes a lot of sense to me. So, yeah, he's, but you know what? He doesn't think that any of this is his fault.
Housing prices in Vancouver went up while you were mayor. I want to ask you, why do you feel like you have the skills necessary to do this when you saw a 179% increase in Vancouver housing prices?
Yeah, we've seen increases like that across Canada over the past decade. Certainly since my time as mayor, we've seen a lot more movement here in Ottawa, and we've got great programs starting to work now. A Housing Accelerator program is partnering with cities to deliver. I'm here to leverage my history as a mayor. I know what works on the ground. I wasn't getting the help I needed from the federal government when I was mayor, or the provincial government of all stripes. We need, as a government in Ottawa, to be delivering and partnering with cities and provinces all together, and making sure we're building enough supply, and that the federal government is focused on affordable housing and delivering that. Now, I think that we need to deliver more supply, make sure the market is stable. It's a huge part of our economy. We need to be delivering more affordable housing. The government of Canada has not been building affordable housing since the 90s, and we've created a huge shortage across Canada. That's where the big need is right now, and I'm very encouraged that the Prime Minister and our commitment right now in government is to double construction and focus on the affordable side.
How realistic do you think those pledges?
Okay, so just going to say hello to a few of the viewers. Hello, Annette. How's it going? And Lynn, how are you today? I think I've said hello to most everybody else. Paul, nice to see you here today, Paul. I don't think you're on here last week, but welcome back. Digger D, how are you? Lisa Hudson, welcome to the stream. So, so have you noticed he fits right in with the Liberals. I would have thought that he would have actually been a little more to the left of the Liberals. Tracy, how's it going? Because, more of an NDPer, because he is very, very socialist. But note that he fits right in with the Liberals. He blames everybody else for what happened. Doesn't take any responsibility for any of the things he did regarding the housing crisis, regarding the drug crisis. Nothing. No responsibility at all. He was in charge of Vancouver, and he did a lot of damage to the city. He jacked up the cost of building houses considerably. I mean, he was a mayor for like 10 years. I believe it was 10 years. Let's take a listen to what Pierre has to say about Gregor Robertson.
Cabinet. It's more of the same when Canada needs real change. Even the new additions are problematic. Gregor Robertson was the mayor of Vancouver who pushed for total legalization of hard drugs, distribution of tax-funded opioids. During his time there was a 600% increase in overdoses. Now he's the housing minister. Well, what's his record on housing? Well, he increased housing taxes in Vancouver by 141%, and the result was that housing costs went up by 149%, more than doubling the costs and giving Vancouver, his city, the most expensive housing prices in all of North America. Now, Mr. Carney puts this gentleman in charge of housing. If this is the new blood that Mr. Carney is bringing into the cabinet, then sadly for Canadians, nothing is going to change, and the role of the Conservative Party will be more important than ever. Conservatives will continue to push real solutions. We'll put forward constructive ideas to reverse the housing crisis.
You know, and this is what really confuses, I think, all logical people, is how we can keep on trying to get something different out of the Liberal Party and out of people who are so far left. And Vancouver's a far left city. When I was growing up, it wasn't really. I mean, well, it kind of sort of was. We had Sven Robertson, you know, the guy who, the parliamentarian who actually got kicked out of I think he got kicked out because he stole a ring for his boyfriend. And he was from Vancouver. But at one point in time, the only non-conservative seat after one election, the only non-conservative seat west of, I think it was west of Manitoba, was Sven Robertson. We didn't have a Liberal out here after one election. The good old days. But still, I'm not sure if, it still doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. We need people in the East to vote Conservative to get in. So, yeah, we have, all of these crazies out here. And Vancouver was always a little bit, not a little bit, but too far to the left, obviously. But at least we had areas around Vancouver. Where I grew up was a conservative area, and now it's a liberal area. I just don't understand it. I think it's because too many people from the city moved out and spread around the city, and there's been a lot of migration, immigration, whatever you want to call it. So, demographics change. I mean, it just is what it is. But you wonder just how come they keep on doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that they're going to get a different result. Of course, we all know what that is, right? Hello, Michael. I haven't seen you for a while, Michael. I don't think you were here last week. So then we have Sean Fraser, and Sean Fraser's back, and this guy, I don't detest him as much as I detest Bill Blair, but he's right up there. Every time I see him speak, he's just so arrogant, and he's just such an idiot that I just can't stand him. But we're gonna have I did upload a couple of clips from him because it is relevant to what we're talking about today. But let's listen to one of the things he says, and then we'll get to another one, which Anyway, well, let's just play it, and then we'll talk about it.
On bail reform and on crime in general, it seems to be like a top priority for this government. Can you tell me what you're looking to do on that?
Well, look, you got to ground yourself in the experience of Canadians if you're going to have success in politics, and we want to make sure that we're creating a culture where Canadians feel safe in their communities. There's obviously been a focus through the campaign, and if you look at the platform, some very serious commitments around bail reform. But in addition to the concrete policies that we're putting in place, we're developing a system that's designed to advance the work. It's not a coincidence that we have not just myself in the Justice portfolio and Minister Hernandez Angry in public safety, but also with Ruby Sahota having unique responsibilities focused on combating crime. So from a systemic point of view, from a policy point of view, and from a point of view that factors in the experience of Canadians, we're committed to creating a culture where Canadians feel safe in their communities.
How to say nothing in 10,000 words or less. Oh my God. Like, they created a problem, and now they're putting this guy in charge of solving a problem. And he talks as if he's some sort of authority on the issue, which is just completely insane. But I see a few more people have joined in. Arnold, how you doing tonight? Parabellum, how are you? For anybody who doesn't know what parabellum means, basically it is it's what the 9mm was named after. It means prepare for war. That's why I always say it like that. Parabellum, prepare for war. Yeah, it's a German thing, German saying. I think Tiger Eye and Mr. G, how are y'all doing tonight? So anyways, Sean Fraser, not a fan of Sean Fraser. And, so he's talking about resolving the crime issues, and he's talking like he knows what he's talking about, but he doesn't. He's not an authority on this. He wasn't an authority on the immigration file. He screwed that up. He wasn't an authority on the housing file. He screwed that up. Now he's supposed to be an authority on crime. Well, I mean, I guess all liberals are authorities on crime, but not authorities on solving crime. Let's just put it that way. Hello, Acorn. He's got another one here. I got another one of him here, which says it all because he gets a little testy here.
Are you looking at all at repealing some? There's a couple laws that your government made under Justin Trudeau that the Conservatives have attacked quite a bit, like Bill C5, C75.
Look at that confused look on his face.
Or are you just going to implement?
So the agenda was laid out in the campaign platform, but I find that curious because some of the criticisms on one of the bills you mentioned, for example, actually makes it more difficult for offenders of certain types of crime to actually achieve bail. So before we have conversations about repealing acts that actually strengthened the bail system to ensure violent perpetrators face the incarceration that they rightly deserve when the courts find it appropriate. I find it very weird, frankly, that the Conservatives would be championing the repeal of legislation that actually strengthened the bail system. So the details actually matter here. I think it's easy for politicians of varying partisan stripe to throw out bill numbers, but I think it would be helpful if they've actually read the legislation, considered its impact, before they start suggesting measures that actually achieve the outcome that they say they want, despite the fact that they voted against them. So I think the details are important.
Yeah, the details are important, Sean, and the details are this. You're lying. You don't know what you're talking about. Hello, Marie, and hello, TP Joseph. I know I just kind of cut back and forth saying hello to people and then getting back into the topic, but here's the thing. This guy doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything at all. And he's saying that the bills that they introduced are keeping people in jail who should be in jail. They're not. We know that they're not. We know that crime is skyrocketing. And you don't have to listen to YouTubers like me to understand that. The police associations and the chiefs of police as well have come out and said that these laws suck and they need to change. So we need to, obviously we need to change those laws. But Pierre Poilievre, of course, he's right on the ball, and he calls Sean out on this, which he should.
Sean Fraser was the immigration minister who caused the immigration crisis, the housing minister who gave us the housing crisis, And now he's the minister responsible for addressing the Liberal crime crisis. It seems like he is the master at failing upward.
The minister of failing upward. There should actually be a ministry in the Canadian government when the Liberals are in power, the ministry of failing upward. That is Sean Fraser. How they even got him back or wanted him to come back, I don't know. He almost didn't win, or at least, actually, I'm not sure how much he won by, but when I was watching the election returns on election night, there was a point where he was behind, and I was so happy to see that. And then something happened, and he turned everything around, or, more of the polls were counted, I guess. So he got back in, just a complete loser. I think that, if anybody believes that crime is going to get better or be reduced now that Sean Fraser is at the helm, well, he's just going to make it worse. If anything, if you can judge anything by past behavior, you know that he is going to make things worse. I don't think that he, I just think that he doesn't do anything at all. I think that he just kind of goes to his office, puts his feet up, does whatever, and just ignores everything. I think that's what he did with the administration file. I think that's what he did with the housing file. I don't think he's going to do anything at all with the crime in Canada. He's going to put his feet up and totally ignore it. Things are going to get worse. But and when he does try to do something, it'll be something that is totally illogical and will hurt the situation. So Pierre also had some things to say about Guilbeault, of course. Guilbeault, our favorite fanatic, right? Or our least favorite fanatic. Oh, hello, Doug. Welcome to the channel.
Mr. Poilievre, Stephen Guilbeault. Is Stephen Guilbeault a threat to national unity in his current role as Minister of National Identity and Quebec Lieutenant?
Yes, he is. Absolutely. I mean, I just find it astonishing that Mr. Carney would appoint a man who says we don't need any pipelines built. The Liberals went around the country pretending they had changed their minds about pipelines after 10 years of blocking them. But now one of Mr. Carney's top ministers comes out and says we don't need any more pipelines, and that he would work to block those pipelines. He wants to block road construction. He's against nuclear power. He's against all forms of economic development. And that will be bad for the entire country, to be clear, but especially antagonistic to the resource-producing provinces like Saskatchewan and Alberta, who rightly feel that they have been mistreated by this lost Liberal decade. So what we see...
Yes, exactly. He's an antagonist. He that's what he's been all of his life. From climbing up the CN Tower to climbing on top of premiers' houses, and harassing people. That's all he's ever been. And he's been an antagonist. So, what's going to change? Nothing. At least he's, I think I would consider the position he's in as being obviously a bit of a demotion. But, Canadian culture, putting him in charge of Canadian culture, does that make any sense to anybody? First, he's, and I think it's official languages as well. So he's in charge of official languages and Canadian culture. Well, we know from a lot of the people back in that area, in the Ottawa area, in the Ottawa bubble, that they don't actually think of Canada as having a culture. Trudeau didn't. He said that we were a post-national state. But then they kind of backtrack on that when they talk about Quebec. They think Quebec's got a culture, but the rest of us don't. So now we put this Goomba in Canadian culture. What's he going to what's he going to do? He doesn't think that we have a culture. And I think that some of the most culturally rich areas of Canada, I would say, are the East Coast and also the prairies. And the prairies have a different culture. Obviously, it's more of a rural culture. Alberta has a bit of a cowboy culture. Interior BC also has a bit of a cowboy culture, but then we also have all of our First Nations cultures and stuff like that. Well, what's he going to focus on? Probably just the Quebec culture. So I think that was just a waste. Hopefully, he won't do as much damage as when he was the environment minister. But you never know. You never know. Hello, Kenzie. And Patrick. How's it going, Patrick? Sheila, hello. And Greg, how you doing tonight? I think everybody said hello to everybody so far. So we have that. Patrick, Eric, how's it going? Yeah, I don't have a lot of good things to say about a lot of these cabinet picks, clearly. And I'm glad that some people aren't in cabinet. Well, of course, it wouldn't be a week in Canada without some idiot reporter asking Pierre or Daniel Smith or somebody about Alberta separation. And we weren't let down because somebody did ask Pierre about Alberta separation. Jeez. Oh. Publicly denounce it. Well, I'm hearing the video, but I'm seeing that a lot of people are saying that they're not hearing the video. Did anybody hear the video at all? I heard the video. So did the sound cut out there? That really sucks because obviously it means that there's something wrong with my broadcast because I'm hearing the video, but I don't know what. Let's go here again. Oh, you know what? Here goes. Let's try that again. I think I fixed it. Okay, I think I fixed it. Let's try that again.
For them and for all
Give me a
Canadians.
thumbs up if you do this.
Are you willing to publicly denounce Alberta separatism and the Alberta separatist movement ahead of a possible referendum on Alberta independence next year?
Look, I'm against separation. I'm a born and raised Albertan. I love Canada. I think we need to unite this country. Albertans have a lot of legitimate grievances. I mean, let's be blunt. Canada's biggest industry, which happens to largely be situated in Alberta, has been under attack for the last decade. They've lost two major pipelines, a $20 billion mine. There's a new ridiculous energy cap that's going to drive jobs and production south to the United States of America. There's an industrial carbon tax that's going to kill the industry. And so frankly, Albertans have a right to be frustrated. And I think the message to the government in Ottawa, the Liberal government, is you can't tell Alberta to just pay up and shut up. Albertans want to be part of a united Canada, but they deserve to be treated with respect, and they deserve to be honored for the immense contribution that they make to this country. And I will be a unifier who works to bring all Albertans to a place where they feel that they are respected and honored in our wonderful country.
So, sorry about the sound the first time around, but web videos are muted. So are the web videos just a little bit quiet now, or okay, I don't know what's going on, because some people seem to have heard it, and looks like some people still haven't heard it. But sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, I would love if the Liberals leave Canada. That would be great. So it seems like almost at least once a week, somebody's asking Pierre or Danielle, what do they think about separation from Canada? So I would think that, you especially Danielle Smith, like, you ask her once, she answers once, but yet they keep on asking her. I think they've probably asked her about 10 times or more what she thinks of Alberta separation. Now, of course, we can all read into a lot of the things that she's done and said over the years and wonder, well, what her real thoughts are. But we have to accept the fact that as a politician, she's saying that she doesn't agree with Alberta separation. She wants Alberta to strive within Canada as a sovereign part of Canada. So, just let it be. But now they're going after Pierre same way, because they think that I think they think that all Conservatives want separation. So I don't know. Maybe. Jonathan, you still couldn't hear Pierre there? That's odd. Some people are saying that the sound was good there, and some people are saying that it wasn't. Well, let's go to the next video, and hopefully you all will hear that, because it's Pierre has an offer for Carney, for carnage.
The Liberal government is hiding about our finances. And so we're here with solutions. I'm proposing offering the Prime Minister to sit down with him and propose conservative solutions that we hope that he will steal. I want him to steal our best ideas. That includes cutting the bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, and other wasteful spending to bring down deficits, inflation, and taxes. We want a real income tax cut that rewards hard work, axe the federal sales tax on new homes to promote more building and lower costs, and stand up against American tariffs with lower taxes on Canadian investment, and by repealing all of the anti-energy policies like C-69, C-48, the energy cap, the electric vehicle mandate, and unleashing our resources so that we can become the richest country in the world. Now, these are ideas that Conservatives are putting forward, but I'm happy to bring them right to the Prime Minister's desk and invite him to steal them and put them right in his platform. And if he does, then we will help get those passed before Canada Day. So let's work together, let's have a real plan, a real budget, and let's bring it home. Thank you very much.
Yes, Pierre's a little cheeky there, isn't he? We know you've stole our platform before. Just go right ahead and steal it. Now, we don't mind. We won't copyright you on here. Just go right ahead, because all of our ideas are good and they're good for Canada. So why not? And of course I think he's making a little bit of a dig at Carney there, because of all of the plagiarism Carney has been accused of in the past, as well as, of course, stealing all of Pierre's platform during the election and even just prior to the election. So I thought that was a little bit cheeky. I loved it. I thought it was great. And he did it with that smile on his face that tells you, yeah, he's being a bit cheeky there, which I love. So that was great. So now I got a whole bunch of videos. I got like 6 videos from Sky News, because Sky News. What's funny about Sky News is they're actually, at least the Australian site of Sky News is very conservative. And Mark Carney decided to go on Sky News for whatever reason. Maybe he thought because they weren't Canadian that they were going to be a little bit lenient on him. What I found, and I'm not even sure if he realized how many digs this lady was getting in, and she got in some pretty good digs on him, but she did it with, with that classy British accent that, probably went over his head, because he didn't get all snippety with her, because he does do that, right? He does snip at people. So let's take a look at his first one, which I thought was quite funny, actually.
You're new to politics, but you have been the ultimate insider. You've been called Davos man. You sort of represent the establishment, rules-based order. A lot of that is in retreat. It's mistrusted by people because they feel like it's failed them. Do you accept any of that?
Well, there's a lot in that question. Has there been a cost of living crisis, including in Canada? Yes. Has inequality gone up in a number of countries? Yes, not in Canada actually, following transfers. So inequality has actually flatlined and gone slightly down in Canada the last several years. Are there challenges with globalization and tilting of vote? Absolutely. I've identified those over time. So there are a series of those issues, and they are real and they translate to people. And people want solutions. Now, the solution that Canadians chose is me. We got more votes than any other party has ever got in Canadian history. We won the majority in 7 provinces. We won far many seats. And the solution that we're looking to is, first and foremost, to build one Canadian economy, a fairer Canadian economy, and to build out trading relationships with reliable partners. So it's not a turn inward strategy that Canadians are embracing.
You notice how, of course, he never truly answers a question, but if you notice how he starts bragging there, and that he gets caught. Actually, I don't know how many people, how many other YouTubers caught this one, but the next one, probably they all have, but what this next one is, I thought it was funny because he starts to brag and she just kind of sloughs him off. This is beautiful.
And one of the things I want to talk to you about is a big hotspot, obviously the war in Ukraine.
Where we are the largest per capita contributor to Ukraine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but in terms of bringing about peace, President Trump has positioned himself as a key peace broker there between Putin and Zelensky. Do you trust that he's an honest broker in that regard, in representing the interests of Ukraine, Europe, and the West?
I do. A straight answer, I do. Let me take an opportunity, though.
So, I don't know. Did you catch that there? Yeah, we're the highest per capita supporter of Ukraine. Yeah, okay, whatever. Doesn't really mean anything when, the U.S. is giving 10 times, well, maybe not 10 times as much as us, but significantly more. But he just wants to brag, and he just gets shut down there. So I thought that was actually quite funny. He always wants to look good, and he does this thing where he repeats all of what he thinks his accomplishments are, such as, I'm the Prime Minister of Canada. We know you're the Prime Minister of Canada. We don't like that you're the Prime Minister of Canada, but we know that you're the Prime Minister of Canada. We may not accept you as our Prime Minister because we don't like you, and we think that there was some shenanigans that went on, but still, you're the Prime Minister. Big deal. Stop reminding us. because you're a flop so far. Yeah, you've only been prime minister for, 2.5 weeks now, but you're still a flop in my book. So I really thought that was quite funny. But then she puts the gears to him regarding our military and military spending. So he doesn't really like this, but I mean he doesn't snap at her or anything like that.
The other unfairness that President Trump highlights is defence, and he has a point here, doesn't he? Because Canada's contribution to defence as a proportion of GDP has been pitifully low, if you don't mind me saying. You've been free riding on the US for years.
There's a couple of things there. The first is that we have substantially increased our defence spending. We've more than doubled it over the course of the last several years. I have announced a series of major defense initiatives. There's more that's going to happen. And it is part of our discussions with not just the United States, but with the UK and with Europe, how we are going to increase our defense spending. Because in the end, I flip it around is what's necessary to secure our borders, secure the Arctic, and of course to support our NATO partners.
But getting to 2% by 2030, which I know is already an improvement on what it was, it feels too little too late given the state of the world, doesn't it?
Well, it's a dynamic situation, let's put it that way.
So we might expect that to change.
Dynamic means change.
Okay.
Yes.
Dynamic means change. He does get a little snippety there at the end. Yeah, so it's pitiful. It's pitiful, she said. And I agree. It is pitiful. Now, he's not the only one. Obviously, he's trying to turn things around, but those are not his ideas. We all know whose ideas those were. And yes, conservative governments in the past have not done their fair share either. Absolutely, they haven't. And now Trump is making us pick up our socks in this area, which is good. We should pull our own weight. But, Carney, he didn't really like that. And at the end, he didn't want to answer or commit to any real answer to her. Yes, it's a dynamic situation. Maybe we'll do more. Maybe we'll do less. But he's got to wait until he sits down with Pierre, doesn't he? So he can steal all of Pierre's ideas. And Pierre says, hey, go right ahead. Steal our ideas. Why not? And this next one, cracked me up. She's actually really, she's so polite in the way she does it. But she's really, she's taken after him. And he's trying his best not to throw Trudeau under the bus. But we all know what's happening here.
So, Prime Minister, you're to host President Trump and other G7 leaders here in Canada. Last time the President was here in 2018, he stormed off, refusing to sign the agreement and accusing your predecessor of being dishonest and weak. Are you confident he's not going to do that again?
Well, it's going to be a very important G7, given what's happening in the global economy. The early stages of these potential trade deals. Number one, what's happening in Ukraine and beyond. President Zelensky will be at the G7. I invited him. I think what's crucial, and if there's a lesson, if you will, from that G7, but just in general, is to be consistent. Say the same thing in private as you say in public. Say the same thing after the summit as you say during the summit.
Okay, so who was not consistent last time?
Well, I think the president perceived some inconsistencies.
From?
Well, I'm going to be consistent. I will be the same, and I think that's what's necessary in order to get agreements, and that's what he respects.
The other,
he's smarter than Trudeau, but not by much. Oh, my God. He walked into that. He even set her up for it. I mean, he set that. He's so stupid. He set that up. He invited that. Oh, well, there were some inconsistencies. You say the same thing in public as you do in private, or the same thing in private as you do in public, and don't get caught. bad mouthing the president is essentially what he said. And we all know, and she knew who that was. Of course she's going to jump on that and call him out. And you could see that little smile on her face. She knew he walked into a trap. He's just so stupid. I mean, maybe he's so used to the BBC and the CBC and CTV not going for the jugular. But, I should say the CBC and the BBC, because I think that Vassy probably would have, gone in a little bit on that one. She did have an interview with him. I put some clips in one of my last videos where she went in a little bit. She didn't let him ride, or she didn't let him skate free. But still, obviously, Sky News, this lady here, she was having fun because she dominated him in that interview. Just completely dominated. He walked into it. What kind of a prime minister do we have who is so stupid he will walk into a trap like that and even set himself up for it? I think he probably just assumed that she wasn't gonna jump on it, but of course he did. And then she goes on to talking about how Trump disrespected Canada right in front of him, calls him out for saying one thing, just like the last clip, but he says one thing and does a complete opposite, and this is what he does.
The King, your head of state, of course, has also invited Donald Trump on an unprecedented second state visit. Keir Starmer personally handed him the invitation in the Oval Office. All the while, he was threatening Canada's existence. What did Canadians make of that?
I'll be frank, they weren't impressed by that gesture. Quite simply, given the circumstance. It was at a time when we were being quite clear. Some of us were being quite clear about the issues around sovereignty. I was not yet Prime Minister, but I was being clear on the campaign trail, and it cut across some of those messages.
So do you personally think that a state visit to the UK for President Trump is appropriate, given that backdrop?
Well, that's a judgment for the government of the United Kingdom and the Palace.
I'm sure you have an opinion.
Well, you reference...
Okay, I played that clip out of sequence. I had it queued up wrong on my stream deck. I apologize for that. That was supposed to be my last clip, but now that it's been played, I have a few things to say about this. First off, I hate it when politicians speak for all Canadians, because he's not speaking for me. I don't give a damn that the King invited Trump to the Palace. I could care less that the King did that. The King and him would probably go way back. I don't know. Maybe they played golf together in the past. Maybe they played St. Andrews together. I don't know. I don't care. But he thinks it's some sort of a slight against Canada that the King invited Trump for a state visit. Trump is the head of the most powerful nation on earth. Whether we like that or not, he's a significant player. And, Carney gets his panties up in a bunch over this. Come on. And don't be claiming that all of Canadians feel slighted by this. I don't doubt very much that any Canadians give a damn about this. Who cares? Carney went to England on an impromptu visit right after he got installed as the leader of the Liberal Party, and he met with the King. And what's the big deal? Yeah, okay, so this is more of a formal thing, more of a state visit. But Carney just shows up and talks to him. I don't see what the big deal is here. I hate the fact that he talks for all of Canadians, saying that we feel slighted because of this. Who cares? The United States is an important trading partner with Great Britain, and they have a deal now. That just is the fact. So we're supposed to all worry or act as if we're worried or concerned about this? No, we're not. Who cares? Who cares? And stop talking as if you're speaking for me or for most Canadians. I bet you that at least, well, I bet you that more than 50% of Canadians don't give a crap. Really don't give a crap about the fact that Trump is meeting with the king. As a matter of fact, I think that most of us really don't care about the king anymore. Chuckles the clown, the monarchy. I think that, a lot of us really were ambivalent towards the monarchy, but we liked Queen Elizabeth. But now that she's not around, Chuckles the clown, really, I would rather not have a king. So if it's Chuckles the clown, and I'm not really keen on the fact that we have royalty anyway, but that's just my opinion. I don't know about everybody else, but who cares that Trump is going over there? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But so I'm just going to play here the one that I thought I was going to play, and for whatever reason I didn't. Hopefully this one is set up right, but we'll see.
You said in one of your speeches, Donald Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us.
I said that many times.
You said it many times. Yeah. You promised voters that you wouldn't meet President Trump until he respected Canada's sovereignty. There you were in the Oval Office. I'm sure you enjoyed that a lot. With him calling Canada the 51st state to your face. So the question is, why did you meet him?
Well, a couple of things. One, he was expressing a desire. He wasn't calling, he'd shifted from
what a liar.
The expectation to a desire for that to happen. He was also coming from a place where he recognized that wasn't going to happen. I made it clear to him in that context. And the other aspect of it was that for a period of time, he wasn't providing the respect to this office, to my predecessor in this office, that it deserved. The president and I have had several conversations prior to that meeting.
Yes.
It was clear
Several
that
conversations.
We were going to restart the relationship, discussing as two sovereign nations, and that is what happened.
So do you think that he ever...
Yes. So there you have it. She calls him out. Hey, you know what? You said you weren't going to meet with him until he started respecting Canada. And he didn't. We all knew it was a joke. He knew it was a joke. Justin Trudeau was the only one who played it as if it wasn't a joke. Or maybe some other politicians. But I think they all knew it was a joke as well. The news, they all thought that it was, or they grabbed a hold of it and treated it like it was real, but they all knew it was a joke. And we all know what Trump was like. And he admitted afterwards that he was just having fun with Justin and that he hasn't yet called Mark Carney governor and probably won't, but you never know. I might. So he bumbles and stumbles through that. And tries to make up some crap but now he knows that he's not going to have Canada. He always knew he wasn't going to have Canada, and he doesn't want Canada. He doesn't want Canada. He might want the West, but we would have to offer him or make it, make it so that he could have the West without too much problem. But he would not want all of Canada. So that's just, she was putting the gears to him, to put it nicely. And I just loved the way she did it, actually. She had that little smile on her face and the confident, posh kind of accent where, it's pretty hard to get mad at somebody who is putting it to you like that. and he didn't. He got a little bit snippety with her, but not too much. So yeah, I think that it was. I wonder why he did that interview though, because since he's been prime minister, he's done one interview with Vassy. I don't think he's done a sit down with anybody on from CBC so far, but or BBC. But then he goes and sits down with Sky News. Very odd, because Sky News doesn't operate in Canada, which I wonder why they don't actually, because they obviously they have, you know, reporters here once in a while, but they have Sky News in Australia and Great Britain. Why don't they have an outlet here? I don't know, probably because of the CRTC and the CBC doesn't like him, doesn't like them for some reason. But I think that it would be great if we actually had a mainstream media that was established like Sky News, if they actually had an outlet here in Canada. But you know, I'm thinking that there's probably something in the CRTC that would prevent that, because they are technically foreign, even if they had their own, you know, corporation here, a Canadian subsidiary here, probably wouldn't be allowed, which is too bad. You know, matter of fact, why don't we get Fox News here as well? That would be great. Nobody would, none of our politicians would go on Fox News, but then again, I think it would be kind of funny if Fox News and Sky News came to Canada. And, you know, why not? Put a little bit of balance in the reporting, not just have the left media, the left stream media, I think is probably better than the mainstream media, the left stream media doing all of the reporting here in Canada. So, but that's just it's kind of my opinion on that. So that's what I had for you tonight. I know I went through it fairly quickly. It's been an hour. So I guess it wasn't overly quick, but you know, played a lot of clips. I particularly liked the Sky News clips because she was putting the gears to him without being, you know, I don't think he even really knew how bad she was putting the gears to him. So I think that was quite funny. Yeah, so let's go and see what you all have been talking about on the chat. Let's see here. I don't think there's nobody's active on Rumble, but quite a bit of activity on, of course, on the YouTube. All right. So there's been so much, I can only go back 15 minutes, it looks like, or 20 minutes. When you see the trees turning free due to rising CO2 from the Earth's increased axial tilt. Oh, you're getting way, way too technical on me here, Greg. Yeah, you know, thing about CO2, carbon, you know, regardless of what Vancouverdom says in Parliament, it is plant food. And the fact is, we're about 15% greener today than what we were back when everybody was bringing all of this stuff up about greenhouse gases. So, yeah, take that for what it's worth. Kenzie, inequality is going down, he said. That can only mean people are getting poorer. Could be, yeah. It's all evening out. We're all broke. Yeah, Carney answers to others. Hello, Sherry. I don't think I said hello. Patrick. I think I said hello to Patrick before. Actually, I'm going to go to my to my main screen here because it looks like it all goes back the same amount of time. And it's easier to read on the big one. Okay. Scroll up. It actually goes back further too. That's new. Usually YouTube goes back further. All right. You and Them is from Niagara. I think I recognized that before. Okay. So JCP asked, did I see Jan Aldrin's post today? What a vile, ugly thing to say about a province she is from and who has supported her over all of the years. So no, I did not see the post, but maybe I will look it up after this. Although I'm not really a fan of Jan Aldrin. But, whatever. Okay. Yeah, so Grumpy Bear says she's never been talented anyway, which I'm not sure. I don't listen to her stuff, to be honest. I think I maybe heard some of her music way, way back in the day, but yeah, I'm not really into her stuff. And she just seems to be too much of a leftist for me. Like everything. What I hate about a lot of the Canadian singers, and I think she was in a group of about 4 female Canadian singers. It was almost like I'm not sure if it was a LGBTQ BLT MOUSE kind of thing, but she was in a group of about 4 of them, and they were all doing this weird stuff, putting on these women-only concerts and stuff. Yeah, I think she was in on that. It's just completely, it kind of lost me for all of those Canadian singers. There was one who I thought was decent, and then she got into doing all that stuff as well. But I'm into mainly country music. I don't know. Although I do like to listen to the blues when I'm doing construction around the house and stuff like that. So I listen to the blues and to country pretty much. Although I will listen to other stuff. Okay. Lies, and more lies from this tool. So I'm not sure who we were listening to at the time, but it was probably Gregor Robertson or Sean Fraser looking at the board and going back to 613. So, yeah, well, they all lie. The Liberals, they take a course in how to lie. I met one lady once who I think she had been an MLA, and I think she was only in for 1 term. And she was telling me how, yeah, as soon as you get in, you go through a seminar on how not to answer questions. So that's how slimy they are. If they take a seminar on how not to answer questions, how to avoid accountability, I think that's pretty slimy. So yes, no budget. A non-confidence vote cannot be called. Well, that's not exactly true. They do have days they can call non-confidence votes, but this soon after the election, nobody would call non-confidence vote. They would, and it's so close that it would just be a waste of your opposition day to call a non-confidence vote. Because we know that the NDP is going to prop them up, or maybe the Bloc. I don't know if any of the independents got in, but Dizzy Lizzy, I think she's throwing her support behind the Liberals. So I'm not sure what the point is of be calling won so early. I think that waiting until they fell flat on their face, like in the fall, would probably be a better time. And since they're not putting a budget forward, if there's a debate and a vote on the fall economic statement, that could be a non-confidence vote. But of course, they also have opposition days that they'll have. I don't see them calling one though, because it's just too soon after the election, and they would just be seen as people who just weren't accepting the results. They went after Blanchette today for saying that he was going to take it to court, that one riding where they lost by one vote, and then they found that there were voters who didn't get their votes cast or counted because they were returned by Canada Post, because Elections Canada had put the wrong postal code on it, which I think is pretty slimy. There's something there, because if the address is right but the postal code is one digit off, Canada Post can still deliver it. That's just ridiculous. So there's something slimy with Canada Post there. And then for Elections Canada to say, well, we're not going to count them after they made the mistake, that's also pretty slimy. So not that I'm for the Bloc Québécois. I don't think they should be in Parliament because they only represent Quebec. But still, what's fair is fair. So then one of the reporters calls out Blanchette and asks him if he's going to not accept the results, the legitimate results of the election. Well, that's just the point. It's not a legitimate result in that one particular riding because of some shenanigans that are going on. So actually, I found it funny today that I guess a lot of us YouTubers are using the term shenanigans so we don't get in trouble by calling things fraud or whatever from YouTube. But Melanie Joly is starting to use the word shenanigans, so it's kind of funny coming out of her mouth. All right. So yes, gaslighting is their game, Tracy. Of course, Fraser is a waterhead. Okay. Fraser, here's the thing about Fraser. He looks so. I'm sure he's smart enough in his own way. He's got to be. He's probably a lawyer if he's got the Attorney General's post. But man, does he look and sound and act so stupid. He seems like a real dud. How does he keep on getting put into these positions? I understood it under Trudeau because they were pals, they were buds. Him and Mark Miller, I guess, were in Trudeau's wedding party. They go way back to whatever university days or something. So I can get that, but why is Carney keeping this dud around? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. And he just strikes me as being just not completely all there, in the brains department. But that's just my opinion. And it's just kind of the impression I get of certain people, whether it's true or not, and it's probably not great of me to judge them like that just by seeing them on television and seeing them in question period. But, if you're going to be a politician, it comes with the territory. It's not like a YouTuber where, people can tune in if they want. You're in the public eye. People see you there. So the fact that he's kind of a doughhead just makes me wonder. Because I don't think he's ever said an intelligent thing or a thing that I thought was intelligent in his entire time in Parliament. He gets all snippety and he thinks he's being funny and he thinks he's being witty, and he never is. So yeah, but Of course, that's my opinion. Some of you might think that he's a witty guy. I don't think he is. Yeah, so I don't know. Okay, so what happened with that sound was I went to listen to it, so I wanted to make sure I could hear it. So there's a setting on OBS, to monitor and output. And that's what I always click. But somehow it accidentally clicked the one above, which is monitor only, no output. So I'm sorry about the sound there. I was glad that I didn't screw that up on anything else. Moist Noodler, how are you doing? First time, see your name there now. La Roitla, Rani, how are you? And Brad Griffins, how are you tonight? Okay. Bog Cat Y, thank you very much for that 5x5. What's going on with the so-called new truck convoy? I don't know, Paul. If anybody knows, let us know, because I'm not going to join it because I don't have the cash, and my dad just took a turn for the worse, so I'm not going to be leaving town. But I think, or leaving the area, because I might have to take a trip to the Lower Mainland sooner than later. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what's going on with that, because it'd be interesting to keep up on and see what see how the government reacts, see how Mr. Carney reacts, considering that he was all for seizing bank accounts and going after the money in 2022. See what he's like now. Hello, Drew. How are you? TJ Riley, how are you tonight? And Connie. Arnold, I think I said hello to Arnold before. Okay. Wish Mark Carney would give up his seat gracefully and go back to his ventures. Is that possible? Not likely. He is clearly a narcissist. You can tell by the way he keeps on pointing out that he is now the 24th Prime Minister. Yeah, he's never going to give up. He won't give up. I was surprised that he ran, but he must have known that the fix was in, honestly, because we're all thinking that because the Liberals are doing so bad before Trudeau resigned, that he wouldn't just jump in and take over. But I think he knew that the fix was in, and that's why he jumped in. And not necessarily the fix of the election, but the fix of getting all this tariff stuff and changing and thereby changing the opinions of the masses in Eastern Canada. So that's, again, kind of my opinion, and it's not based on any real fact. It's just the way it looks to me. I wonder if he's been on that Coke train. I wonder who you're talking about. Probably you're talking about Justine, or are you talking about Mark Carney? I don't know. Let's see here. Where's my prefab home, Mr. Carney? He's really pushing that. I don't think that the people who get those homes are going to own them either. And if you listen to Sean Fraser, who is, of course, not taking any responsibility for his government not building homes within the last 10 years, but making it sound like it is the government's job to build homes. So we're going rapidly towards communism. I just don't understand how people don't recognize it. So we're going to spend. And what do we have? What are we going to have left over to spend on defense if for spending all this money on all these social programs, that if we just made it more livable for people, if we just made the cost of living better by, I don't know, not spending money we don't have, not printing money, not putting money into the economy that shouldn't be there so that things are less expensive, well, we would have enough money to spend on things like military. But when we just print money in order to throw it out the window, and I said that is when Trudeau got first elected, I think he spent like $18 billion even before he was sworn in, or just after, within a month of him being sworn in, he had pledged on all of this money that he was spending. So back in 2015, and Carney doesn't look like he's going to be any better. In fact, he looks like he's going to be worse. He's already said that he is going to be spending billions and billions more. Jolie, I think that's, can't see no, that's 2 L's, Jolie. Lavoie, how are you today? Some of the names are coming up oddly colored on my screen, so they're a little bit difficult to read. Most of them are okay, though. Alice, how are you? Cheers from Georgian Bay. Carney prefers Zelensky, probably. All right. Well, it looks like I'm getting caught up again. I'm not too far behind all of the conversations, so looks like I'm going to end it there. But what do you think? Hey guys, what do you think? Should we try to encourage Fox News and Sky News to open up some some stations up here in Canada? That would be, I don't think that they would allow it, but who knows. Kananaskis this summer will be, I actually worked in Banff when they did have the I don't know if it was G8 or G7 there one year, G8 probably. And it was a lot of work. We had to do a lot of extra patrols. But I didn't get down to Kananaskis. I spent most of the time right around Banff and Canmore area doing patrols. So it was a lot of work, but they brought in a lot of people for it, so that was good. Looks like I'm only going back so far. Okay, here we go. Yeah, looks like the conversation ended at 7:02. I'm not sure if that's just because everybody quit on me or what. But yeah, okay. 7:02. Oh, no, here I got some coming in now. All right, so I'm going to let you guys go because I've kind of run out of things to yap about. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and weekend. And hopefully I'll see you on this stream next Thursday. And in the meantime, I hope to get a lot of work done on the inside of the house. So I don't know how many videos I'll be putting out this week, but I like putting them out, and I like reading all the comments. So, and I tell you what, there is a lot coming out in the news to talk about. So you never know. But I do have a lot of work to do around the house, so I'm not sure just exactly how much I'll get to, how many videos I'll put out, but I hope to see you all next week. Take care, have fun, enjoy yourself this weekend, and yeah, be nice to people. All right, let's just end this here.
You've been watching the Northwest Cavalryman Show. Thank you for tuning in this evening. I hope you've enjoyed the content. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and share with your friends and on social media. May God bless you. And if you're a liberal crybaby, bless your heart. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Thursday.